Dungeon Doom
Look at
Hands.
that.
Let's talk lore.
The
A
podcast.
podcast.
Boom.
So we had just talked about needs and why DMs need to take a break, and but now we're going to focus more on in-game break taking and transitioning.
Mhm.
I just gave you the baton. You took over.
Yeah.
You said you had an idea of sort of starting it out as a session 0, which I'm interested
Yeah.
to know because I was
Yeah.
if it was me, I would not do that. I would not have thought that, but maybe I will do that.
My reasoning for that is it's going to be a realistically 8 to 10 sessions, somewhere in that
Right.
range. It's longer than a one shot.
So yeah, okay, 20 weeks.
It's longer than a one shot.
Yes.
Well, an arc is 8 weeks or 8 sessions.
But yeah,
realistically. And I'm gonna want to DM the style that I have, and I know it's different from your style.
right.
And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page before we get going, and not be like 3 sessions into this story that I'm helping to tell and have to make a major change in how we're doing something.
You're
So
gonna
getting
have to do
everyone on the
that.
same page.
You're
Well,
gonna
yeah.
have to, but it's not gonna be something that we can even focus on, which is
Yeah.
the best part about DMing
Mhm.
I think. So what do you do? What's your
Well,
like? You don't have to worry about ruining it for me. I think I can play
Yeah,
it.
no.
You know.
No, it's just talking about how, like, the style of DMing that I'm going to do, of like general rulings, like the flow of the game. If there are certain little things that I would like to do different than you do, and I don't have my full list of things yet, but it's just a discussion back and forth on what are you wanting, getting feedback from all the other people of like, this is where we're going. We're switching DMs. I know you've been playing with Spencer as your DM, and of course I know what everyone's going to say. Yeah, do whatever you want.
Right.
But it's getting that feedback, having that discussion of like, okay, I'm DMing now. This is some of the stuff that I would like to do. Feedback from all of you, and does that sound good? All right, let's go. We're all in agreement.
Yeah.
It's like that full session 0, except you're not making your characters. You're not introducing people to.
I love the idea of having a session 0, like, maybe while the guys are walking. You tell, maybe you do, maybe your sessions. A lot of times, session 0s are like, all right, you guys meet, like, you do the session 0 out of character. Maybe this is a good opportunity to do session 0 in character while we're walking, and then so we don't have to think that we're wasting time with a session 0, because a lot of times at the very beginning of the first session 0, you've done about an hour of talking and describing how you're going to do your roles, which are going to be completely different, and this is probably going to be very educational for me, because let me tell you how many times I've read the entire rule book. I would put bits and pieces together, but it's like, have I read every monster? No, but I will. And I just think that I
fight every monster.
I think that a fun way to do a session 0 might be on the go. Maybe there's an event. Maybe there's an event that happens in the middle of the session 0. Like, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be too hard, but you could be like, this is how I'm going to roll my checks. Why don't you roll me a,
Well, yeah. Well, also, it's like just the general organization of the game with everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So I like that idea of the in-character session 0. Like, making it feel more like part of the game, part of we're still playing, but we're having this little, like, fourth wall break. I like that idea.
I like the idea that so those of you who are tuning in, if you are, you've probably also watched our thing on every other Monday. But Agoth Doomhand and the Skulls of Power campaign, I have built on Tabletop Simulator, and I've used all the different models from everyone that every time I post, someone's like, "You stole that from World of Warcraft." It's always World of Warcraft, but no, I didn't steal anything. Someone else modded it, and I downloaded it. That's fine. Anyway, So I created the worlds and I used the models to do it and I set it up. If we were playing in person, I probably would not have that many models to use, but I would
Mhm.
definitely still have like my Warhammer models to use, and I would still put items out on the table and stuff like that.
Mhm.
With you, it's going to be different. Let's just talk about that difference for real quick.
Well,
You're going to
and
do
that,
the old school board, which they have
yeah,
access to on there too.
a grid and just
Yeah,
a pen line.
right. And I
Well,
think
and
I'll
that's part of the session zero. It's like this is how my maps are going to look. They're not going
right,
to look as gorgeous as
right.
Spencer's Tristrat or whatever that I forget the name of the our Time Heist City.
That one I
Like
that one I stole.
that thing was amazing.
That was crazy. Yeah, someone spent a lot of time. Yeah, but like even so like I could for you if you wanted, I could put something down, but I don't want to do anything.
Well,
Um,
I think the only thing I would
I could put a
really
castle
want
down
is
or
just
whatever it
no,
is.
it's just minis.
Yeah,
Like I need this, I need that, and the other nice thing is now you're not having to DM while you're looking for stuff like that.
right. You can also just say Spencer pulled me out because
Yeah,
and I'll be
Spencer,
happy to
get
do
me
that.
this and this and this.
I'll be happy to do that. But the point what I
Well,
was trying to make was there is a difference between visualizing it on the computer or
mhm,
on a like you're playing Warhammer with me and my brothers. There's a difference between visualizing it using models and then what you're doing because the way that it's supposed to be played in my mind is that everyone has their own mind's eye. Everyone has their own image of what this valley is going to look like or whatever you're
mhm,
bringing us to.
yeah.
And so the visualization that I bring to it with already a pre-set up thing is a little limiting. And I'm very interested to see how the different players respond to that because
Mhm.
I feel like Jake might, and I always go back to Jake thinking that he's the one that sort of um, doesn't doesn't interact with the environment as much, but he also always has these like awesome pay attention things that he
Moments, yeah.
does. So it's like he was fucking listening during that whole thing. um, so I think this is gonna be good. I think I'm excited for it. It's gonna be awesome. But different play styles. Like what else besides like the map drawing would you consider bringing up in like a session zero transition?
Well, there's one thing that we do in our in-person game. It's called high, low, even, odd. So if someone asks, "Is there a barrel in the corner?" High, low, even, odd. Pick one of the two. You have 50% chance of it going your way. It's something like I don't care. It's not something I planned. It might happen. Let's see what the dice have to say.
So
It's like you're walking down a path. Someone's like, are there tracks?" Roll. I don't know. I haven't planned it. Roll me high, low, even, odd. I'll roll a d100, and you say if it's either high or low or even or odd. And
got it.
if it lands on that side, do you want there to be tracks? There are tracks. Now I have to make up tracks and figure out what's going on there.
That's cool.
It,
That's a
it's
world. That's a world building. That's player engaging right there. I like that a lot. I'm gonna be like, Chris, are there are there
so,
paths?
sometimes I'm just gonna say yes, or sometimes I'm
Yeah.
gonna say no.
No, but
No, Spencer, there's not a whale falling from the
what's
sky
the
right
guy?
now.
What's the guy? Yeah, I like that. It's like that kind of people are gonna ask you questions, and
Yeah.
and if it gets annoying,
Well,
if it gets annoying for you, you're gonna be like, yes, but the cloud is actually a huge rock. Take bludgeoning damage. Like,
the other thing with the transition, and I think it's a great um, idea of having it that in character, sort of on the way, bring up all these other little things. It's like, hey, there's this idea. What do you guys think about this, or something along that line? But also, we're changing the whole area, the theme, the feel of the game. Um, so there's a transition point of when we're going into the mountains, and
right.
I'm wanting this transition to feel like a transition. Like we're coming out of a Spencer game and going into a Chris game.
Right.
Or we're going into like this adventure within the campaign. And so my idea is having, like, once we get to a certain point, having a little, almost, how to describe it? It's like a movie or a narration. As the characters look down this path, there's like a narration about, like maybe a 2 to 3 minute narration about what they're walking into, the environment, sort of setting the theme and the tone and the feel and the atmosphere of the whole area they're coming into.
Do you? I mean, I think that's great. I did not think that you were going to say, um, run a session, a session zero. That's awesome. What a awesome way to. You get some cool points. You get cool. Are you going to keep cool points as
Yes.
as a feat, a group feat or whatever it is?
Well, it's just a mechanic.
Yeah.
It's a random XP mechanic. Of course, it's
Yeah.
something we love.
That's so funny.
There's also another idea that cool points might switch to that I'll bring up in session zero.
Lame
And
points.
well, no, not lane points.
I would love to rattle off a bunch of lame points.
But another idea, or we could have both, or it's something I'll bring up, but I'll save that till next Monday. But I forgot where I was going with that.
Cool points.
Cool points. Yeah, we'll keep cool points, but there might be something different. But there also might be a couple other things.
I love it.
I have my short list right now, and I'll go through as I finalize everything for the session. Any question for you, Spencer, as a DM? How do you like to set the tone or the theme when we come into that new area? Like when we moved from the forest to the desert, or because we went through the Trivium and went to the desert. Didn't we go through Trivium? No, we took the airship. That's right. We took the airship to the desert.
And it crashed in the desert. So, so there's two things that go on. Well, there's one, like when I was like that DM, I had no idea how I was going to get you to the desert. I sort of wanted it to be like a Mario. You just go into the tunnel and you show up in a desert. But I had an airship, which was pretty cool. That was a world building experience. But how do I set the tone?
World building experience. Never give someone an airship.
Yeah. I think, how did I do this? So I sort of have a general idea of like what there isn't. So the desert, everyone was there's a war for water. And so there's the orcs, there's the minotaur, and there's the centaur. I don't know how I chose those, but I just did. And they're fighting over the water, and what are they doing? They're being really sneaky about it. So they're drinking this polyjuice essentially, and half of them are turning into a centaur, and the orcs are turning into minotaurs. So there's a level of trust there, and the whole idea of the Shadowhide realm was like, all right, the trust aspect of it is going to get questioned. And that's what I was trying to do. So every decision that I made as a DM, I want it to be like you guys walk into the police precinct of the Minotaurs and they're interrogating someone, and like you guys are witnessing this thing happen, and is the guy lying or not? Well, they kill him, and he turns back into his real person. And so the police killed the Minotaurs killed the wrong person, or they got him, or whatever. Not sure if that was the answer to the question.
Well, but it was an answer. So more of just like with the session zero of in character of revealing that theme as much as you can versus a narrated or an intro or description of it.
I don't know. Have I ever done descriptions of things like that?
Well, say when we went through say when we went through the door of
DeSantis.
DeSantis.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're in the Underdark now, and it's like how would you describe that, or how would you set up that feel, the shift in feeling
So well, so
from the water to the Underdark.
so taste, touch, see, feel. The
Senses.
senses are huge.
Okay. Let's go through the senses. I
Players
like that.
players that are role playing and like that type of thing, like myself, it builds suspense. If you were to say, okay, all of a sudden, like there's a cool breeze. I try to do it
Like,
sometimes. I feel like it's sometimes you can go online and just there's a room description site I saw, which was pretty cool. You just sort of type in a room and it gives you a couple ways to describe it. Doing one of those, like an in-depth, detailed, sense-oriented type thing, like okay,
I like that.
like, and then each individual character, like the senses of the players. I've played with you guys so long, I just know that like each player and character probably has a sense that is more along their
That's
like
more powerful for them to
right. So
experience it. Yeah.
yeah, so like like obviously Stag is probably more touch.
Well,
And
player, not character.
And Ignis is more watch. Maybe Stag's watch. I don't know, but yeah. And then your barbarian is going to be more taste and stuff like that. So you have some like
Interesting.
role playing, interactive ways of describing of doing that. So like as you're walking up the mountains, maybe there's the dust from the mining, or there's you're hungry, there's no food, and there's I don't know.
Yeah, but it's the senses is a great theme to or topic to use for that intro of my intro, and then start describing with the senses as the people are walking through that area.
Right.
Still keep it suspenseful for you, and using that to help set that tone and feel
Yeah.
of the area. I like that.
I also think it's going to be interesting because, like, if you're doing a sneaky thing that we're supposed to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I do it. I don't describe it quickly enough, and then you guys have already engaged, and I don't want to,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how you do that, but that's a completely different thing. But what else would you do during? So you're going to set up. You're going to do a session 0 about the rules and stuff like that, and roles and things like that. So maybe we're traveling and you do the role.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have your senses and whatnot. And then like
the transition.
We have our hook, but do you have? I
Yeah.
think you're going to have to
Well, something I'm going to do to reinforce that hook is have right now the group is resting in the temple, and Stag left with Lolo. So I'm going to have a messenger come and meet them at the entrance when they're leaving, and say, here is some other information, sort of clean up what I was trying to do at the end of last sessions, to really set that hook, get all the details in there for everyone. It's like, all right, we've started, you guys are moving again, we're doing things, and all right, here is your goal. Here's what the whole reason you're going into the mountains is for.
I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
And any other information that I think would, like, that information that I want to give you guys to get you going, to get you started.
I feel like that's going to be awesome. I also like the idea of it's not player engagement, but it is player incentive. No, when you do something that sort of it builds suspense. For example, Stag, your character, is going to be, for what we know, staying in Trigard, the most technologically advanced city in Trigard. And he has just figured out how that this item, or there is a way to reverse Total Recall and stick the item into his nose. Perhaps, as you were saying, he might be doing that, and so maybe there's like a call to action. We need to get up there and get this thing done. You know, so there's always the one thing about transitioning with DMs, and I haven't really done it that often, but I just think that like your character has now like its own hook, and it's a main story arc hook. Your thing, your Act 9 is a crucial portion of the Agoth Doomhand Skulls of Power. And I just think that that's going to keep people on a line to want to get back to Stag and figure that out. I thought we were gonna keep Stag held captive in Trigard as a sort of ransom, like a layaway. We're gonna keep him here, and my new character Kali is gonna go with you guys. Make sure she comes back, or Stag doesn't get returned to you. But that's not. I don't know if King Lololo's characters.
Oh, I think no. Well, especially not after what he just witnessed.
Yeah.
I think there's some. Stag is in a good place, and you gave me a great side quest for Stag, and making time be important, making you guys want to get there and get back quickly. So I have a really good idea for that.
Yeah, and now I know what I have to do the next 20 weeks, and that's going to be to figure out how to Total Recall or reverse recall. What's the opposite of Total Recall again? It was
partial amnesia.
Partial amnesia, to get that thing back in his nose so he can go back to Mars or whatever. Yeah. Well, that's a cool take on DM transitioning.
This is Crosby. Crosby failed a deck save, causing him to get smashed by a giant alchemist in the Shadowhide realm. Don't be a Crosby. Roll high and subscribe.